Aloha, everyone. Welcome to CFHT Behind the Scenes, the Avenue Ekomomai. We are here hosting this session. It's a very special session for all the participants. I am Viraja Khatu. I am a resident astronomer here at CFHT, and we are all here to talk to you about what happens precisely as the title suggests behind the scenes. So we have a panel where we have our executive director and members from different teams who will talk about their work. They'll introduce themselves and we'll speak about how we all prepare here together for an observing night. At any point, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, but we will have a dedicated Q&A towards the end of the session. And if you're not able to hear us at any point, please raise your hand or feel free to put it in the chat. And without any further delay, I'll turn over to Jean-Gabriel and to tell us why CFHT is significant as a scientific facility on top of Maunakea.
Thank you very much, Viraja. Thank you, all the attendees, all the participants. It will be a pleasure to meet you either in person or remotely on the occasion of the users meeting. We are really looking forward to it. We are delighted with the large turnout and the high number of abstracts that have been submitted. So I really want to thank Viraja, also Nadine, who is behind the scene, and all the participants from CFHT to this event. So I see Jessica and Cam online. Alexis, who is very busy because she's running the real thing tonight, running the telescope and the instruments. Mark Baril and Luc Arnold. I also want to start by acknowledging the fact that Maunakea is a place of very high significance for the native people of Hawaii, the Kanaka Maoli. I'm sure that many of you have a lot of questions about the situation on Maunakea, and during the users meeting, we will have the opportunity to update you on the status, but also on reflect how we envision the CFH community, how we envision the future of astronomy on Maunakea. So to return to your question, Viraja, so why is CFHT important for Maunakea observatories? We say that there are three reasons. The first is scientific. We have instruments that are unique. MegaCam is somehow unique on Maunakea, but also worldwide. For instance, because of its excellent blue and UV sensitivity, but also because it is mounted for long consecutive periods of time, and that enables time domain and monitoring observations. Spiro is one of the very few instruments around the world that provides high precision radial velocity down to 1 meter per second. And when Maunakea is installed, the combination of Espadons and Spiro, it will be a truly unique instrument. So the second reason is community engagement. CFHT has a long tradition of community engagement. And today there is a new authority that will, in just 3 years, regulate the activities on Maunakea, including astronomy. And we are recognized as a key observatory, trying to have an open and honest dialogue with this authority and with the local communities to define the future of astronomy on Maunakea. So we are really strongly engaged into this new page of astronomy on Maunakea that will open soon. And last, I would say that we have also opportunity at CFHT for repurposing the site. This is relatively unique among the other observatories, because for many years, as you know, we have worked on the Maunakea Spectroscopic Explorer, which gives us MSC, which gives us an opportunity to repurpose the site with a bigger and more powerful facility without changing our footprint. So short summary, 3 reasons: scientific, community engagement, and opportunities for the future. Thank you, Rajan.
Thanks so much, Jean-Gabriel. And yes, I am really looking forward for that community astronomy session at the users meeting. It's such a privilege to do the kind of science we do here on the mountain. And talking about doing science, we actually observe from our remote control room here in Waimea, where Alexis today is the remote observer. But we have another remote observer on the call, Jessica. So I'll turn it over to Jessica. Do you want to talk about what is a night report and what purpose does it serve?
Will do. Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Nagasako, and I'm a remote observer here at CFHT. And today I'll be explaining what a night report is. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So a night report is a brief, detailed report on how observing went during the night. And the best way to see what a night report is to actually see an example of a night report. Thanks to Alexis, we'll be using her night report from the 24th. Let me just share my screen. Can you guys see that all right?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So here's an example of what a night report typically looks like. We write this throughout the night and we send it out at the very end after we're done observing, closing up the telescope. We begin by talking about problems that we face. This is anything that costed us time, that took us away from looking at the sky. This can be something like a part breaking on the telescope or a coding problem we faced, and we'll write it here so everyone at the company can be in the know of it. Next, we have action items. This is really helpful because if there's something that requires immediate attention, we can write it here, and that way our staff can look at it and address it quickly rather than looking through the entire email. Next, we have observing conditions. As remote observers, we have to report on the weather every hour on the hour. And in this section, we can summarize all the weather conditions throughout the night. We can talk about fog, high humidity, the wind. More relevant right now because Kilauea is erupting, we can write about if we face high dust particles, or if we had a raised sky, or if we had like a raised sky background due to the lava from the volcano. We can also report on time loss. Here we see that we lost 1 hour and 43 minutes due to fog, high humidity, high particle counts. And it's nice that we can write it right here so everyone knows what the weather was like during the night. Next, we have our observation section. Here we write about all the programs that we observed and how much we observed that program during the night. For MegaCam, we take morning flats and evening flats, and we can write the flats, the flat filters we took. Or in this case, due to the bad weather, we couldn't take flats, and it's good that we can put that here so everyone is in the know. And lastly, we end with extra notes. We typically write the conditions that we left the telescope in at the very end of the night. And that's a nice summary of what a night report is. I think these night reports are really important because it allows everyone to, how should I word this? Please excuse me, I just woke up. It allows our staff to collectively stay updated on the status of the observatory. These reports are really important because they play a crucial role in tracking recurring issues that may be happening throughout the month or monitoring the status of newly released projects. These reports connect all of our teams and they give people the insight they would have had if they were there during the observing themselves.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica. And as Jessica said, yes, the night report is a very important piece that's produced by the remote observers at the end of the night, and it's used by all the different teams to guide them in preparing for a given night. So I think at this point, we'll turn over to Mark. So Mark, when the night is done, there are people from the operations group that head to the summit, and they're the first ones to begin very early in the morning, everything at the summit. So do you want to talk a little bit about where everything begins and what do the operations group start up at the summit?
Sure. So I'm going to lump operations with instrumentation because we're very closely related groups.
Yes.
We work together pretty closely. And before the instrument even goes on the telescope, so I'm going to go back a step. Before the instrument goes on the telescope, there's a number of steps that happen. So we typically a few days before the instrument goes on the telescope, we do something called instrument checkout. And this is basically the instrument's running on in the storage area wherever we keep it, and we'll do some tests on it, the basic operational tests of the instrument, make sure it's working. So usually on the day of the exchange, we call it the instrument exchange, we know that the instrument is functional. There's no question that there's any issues. They've been resolved. And if we're generally we're pretty lucky on this. It goes on and it's fine. Every instrument has some known issues that come up typically during the exchange, and then you'll get a few surprises. So, but for the most part, it works. MegaCam, for example, we expect to have issues with vacuum because we've had issues with that. It's actually gone down because some changes we've made to the cryostat. But surprises turn up, like the last MegaCam run. For example, we had worked on the storage area for the telescope storage area for MegaCam's electronics, which we call Qt. And we found that there was a connector that had been forgotten. So that's the reason the instrument group is up there. We're trying to make sure the instrument's going to be running for the night. We usually resolve it fairly quickly. And our operations people help us get all of that heavy equipment on the telescope and make sure everything's running with the crane and that we're all doing it safely. And so that's before the instrument even goes on. And then during the run, typically we do nothing. In fact, we don't want to do anything because it could affect the observing. Occasionally we'll get a call. It's very rare. I'd say each instrument you might get 1 to 2 calls a year where we have to go up and do something on the instrument, or often it's not the instrument, it's something else in the observatory. Like the last time I think I went up was CTED and it was just a bad Ethernet switch. So that's the kind of stuff we do, keep everything running.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah.
And I have been up there for a few exchanges, so it's definitely a very fun time and a lot of learning. While a lot of things are happening at the summit with the operations and the instrumentation groups, there are things that happen here at HQ, at our headquarters. And I will turn over to Cam now to give us some information about how does the software group support operations at the summit, or also coordinate their activities with the astronomers. So Cam?
All right. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever it is, where you are at this morning. My name is Cam. I am part of the software group at CFHT. I do come to it from the science side. So for about 6 years or so, I did serve as an observer. So similar job to Jessica and Alexis there. And now I work within the software group, helping out with the science operations. So at CFHT, the software group, despite its name, is not only responsible for software development, it's also responsible for the IT needs, including infrastructure, end user support. So anything to do with computers and technology, that's the purview of the CFHT software group. And that's important because the observatory runs on much custom software. So, the software group will either develop custom databases, custom software, and you need a computer client deployed, perhaps email issue, new Wi-Fi access point, Zoom room, security camera. Maybe you just need help with the computer or printing. That's all stuff the software group does at CFHT. So despite the name, we actually do a whole bunch of other stuff to help the observatory with all of those needs. So related to observing, though, as was mentioned, they do have these event reports, and if there are any issues with the software of the computers, that will be the responsibility of the software team to look at it. And because most of the software we use at the telescope, at the observatory, is custom software, often the developer of that software will be right at CFHT, and so they'll be the best ones to help work and figure out what the issues may be with that. So many of you have likely interacted with our Kealoho or Phase 2 web applications. That's a couple examples of the custom software that we use at CFHT, but there's other custom software, things like the telescope control system. That's the totally custom software. All of the software we use for what we call the observing execution. That could be things like getting images off of the instruments, how we set up and maintain telescope guiding, and how we perform the SNR mode observations, these on-the-fly calculations. We use to determine the signal and noise as integration is occurring. Those are all use custom software built at CFHT. So if, as I mentioned, if the RO mentions there's any issues with these systems within the report, or we get a report from operations, or Greg there and Mark in instrumentation, we'll figure out what's going on and try to help them out get things solved. And that's really one of the key things. It's 2025. Basically, everything is a computer now, one way or another, right? Our cars are all just computers on wheels. And that means that if there are issues with other systems, generally we're also involved simply because everything is computerized. So systems that are generally maintained by the instrumentation or operations groups, if there are issues with those, generally the software group will also be involved, simply to ensure that the cause of this failure is not a software or computer issue. And if it's a hardware issue, turn it over to them. If it's a software thing, we'll take a look at it from our side of it. This coordination can happen in several ways. We good old-fashioned phone calls, is talking in the hallways, of course, is one of the best ways to do it. We also use the email and Slack to chat internally at CFHT. And one thing to mention is that this remote queued service observing you're seeing happen in the background there as Alexis works away. That's all made possible by CFHT's team of software engineer and system administrators to develop this software allows us to happen. And every step of the way, basically from proposal submission that all you folks may do, all the way through to your distribution of the science data at the end, that all uses custom software that's designed and built right at CFHT. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Viraja. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Cam. I think it was the last point that you said, that software is and plays a role in every step of the process, may be the proposal making, or may be the observing, may be the maintenance related thing. Everything needs software, and they play a key role in keeping everything going. The astronomers use software to schedule observations. So I'll move over to Luke to tell us a little bit about how you use the night report to plan for a night, so scheduling observations, and how do you decide science priorities?
Yeah, so I am Luc Arnold. I am the instrument scientist of Spiru. Spiru is one of the instruments in operation at CFHT. It is in operation typically 12 to 15 nights per month on the telescope. And indeed, we are scheduling the nights for you. You are not observing. We are scheduling the observation for you. And so the first, how do we schedule the night? We are using the information you have entered on Kealoho, which is the main software you are usually using to enter the observation you want to do. And as you may know, the programs are ranked from A to C. And depending on the ranking, and of course, depending on the visibility of your targets, we are building queues for the nights. So it means that we are building a list of objects to observe, typically 30, 40 objects to observe in a night. And after the night is done, my job is to verify that all observations are good. I mean, to verify that the observation have reached the SNR you have asked for. And if it's not the case, because of clouds, for example, or if the seeing was not as good as expected, I will reschedule the OG. I will reschedule your observation if time allows, if there is no other constraints, of course. And we will do that until the observation will be good and validated. And one point to mention also is that the data are reduced after each night. So around noon local time here, you have an access to your reduced data. First, during the night, you get an email saying that your object or your program has been observed. And after the night, you have access to what we call quick look data. So it's a quick look. It's the data are reduced, but it's only a quick look. I mean, if I'm with Spiro, we are able to reduce all the data every 3 months or so in order to improve everything and to improve the processing. But still, after the night, you have a good feeling. You have good data in order to check that everything is okay. And if you need to change something in your setup, it's still possible at that point. If you need to change your observing strategy, etc. So this is typically the job of the resident astronomer who are in charge of an instrument on the telescope here, scheduling nights and making sure that your observations are done and the SNR are reached correctly.
Yes, thank you so much, Luke. So for astronomers, we work on scheduling the observations, and it's pretty much the same how it goes for all the instruments. We basically have from the night report, what we observed for the previous night, and then we schedule what's going to be done for a given night. And we have at every point during the night, we are focusing on getting as much of science done as possible. And with that, talking about science operations, I'll turn over again to Jean-Gabriel, and I would ask you, what is the role of an executive director in the scientific operations of the observatory? I'm curious about that.
Well, there could be a very quick answer, which would be no. As you know, and there is a longer answer, which maybe is just to explain what is the role of the executive. So let me step back a little bit. Okay, so we are obviously an operational observatory. Okay, we observe 360 nights per year, and particular thanks to the remote observers and resident astronomers who have to execute these operations again every single night. We operate with we have three agencies: Canada, the National Research Council, NRC, the CNRS in France, Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique, and the University of Hawaii. And we also have associate partners at the moment from NAOC in China and AGA in Taiwan. So we, the executive, we work, we define essentially the not only not only do we operate on a daily basis, but we define how the observatory should run to implement the strategy that is defined by our Science Advisory Council, the SAC, and the board of directors. Okay, and the board of directors, of course, represent the three main agencies from Canada, France, and Hawaii. Okay, so all of this to explain that over the past year we have worked hard, the executive team, to propose a strategic plan to our committees, to the SAC and the board of directors. And the two main ingredients of this strategic plan are reliability of the infrastructure, reliability of the telescope, so that we can offer viable operations for the next 10 years. Okay, so take 10 years here as notional. The point being that we really want to focus on making sure that the observatory will be up and running reliably for many years to come. And the second top level ingredient is, of course, to produce high quality science. It is our mission, of course, to deliver high quality science. And for that, as you know, there is this plan of having community surveys that will be extensively discussed during the users meeting. We are talking about community surveys for 5 years, starting in 2027 or 2028. And we are talking about hundreds of nights, okay, potentially up to 1,000, maybe even up to 1,500. Okay, so this is 2 or 3 times larger than the historic CFHT legacy survey. Okay, so this is really a huge endeavor. So we are here, the executive team, to try to implement this strategic plan. So basically for the next 10 years. And of course, we do that with all the groups involved at CFHT and that you've just heard about. So I will again go quickly through these groups. So there is the operation groups, which run the maintenance and move the heavy equipment at the summit. So this is what we call here the day crew, the people who really work at the summit 4 days a week. Then we have the instrumentation group that Mark was describing, maintaining the instrument and working between the headquarters here in Waimea and the summit. Then we have the software group that was described by Can, so in charge of the infrastructure and all layers of software. There is also the administration group that is not represented here, but of course, administration is essential. They are transverse to absolutely everything we do. It goes without saying. And last but not least, there is of course the astronomy group. And again, these are the ones who are present every single day or night of the year because observations happen every single night. So that's what the executive does, just trying to orchestrate all of this and implement this strategic plan of at least for the next 10 years.
Thank you so much, Jean-Gabriel. I think that was really insightful, and it was a very nice summary of revisiting all the groups and what we do over here at CFHT. So at this point, I'll actually go to Alexis, who is in the control room doing the flats. So these are daytime calibrations, to talk a little bit about what's happening right now.
Yes, aloha kakahiaka kako. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alexis Acoquito. So yes, right now we are taking flats. I'm just about to do a filter change. So with MegaCam, when we have photometric conditions or In this case, there's a little bit of thin cirrus, but we've been behind on flats, so I'm really trying to push it while we have some nice skies. But we want to take flats in the evening and the morning. And this is for calibration purposes. We want to get a nice set every run if we can. Sorry, I'm just looking to see when I have to switch filters.
Totally.
But yeah, that's about what I'm doing right now.
All right, thank you so much, Alexis. Jessica, do you want to share a little bit about what we are seeing on the screen right now? Do you see my shared screen?
Yeah, sure. I think you'd be better than me at explaining what's going on the screen, but right now we're seeing a flat image. We use these flat images to help make our images a lot prettier. We're observing with MegaCam right now to call it our pretty image imager. And with these flats, we can get rid of any artifacts and the pictures that we took throughout the night. For example, in the bottom right corner, I think we can see a little dust donut. By having this flat, we can add it onto our actual image and get rid of these artifacts. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that was good. So as Alexis mentioned, the past couple of nights have been very tight in terms of getting flats due to clouds. If we have cirrus clouds, then it's difficult to get a clear patch of the sky to get these flats really nice. But I think yesterday was a little bit better too.
Yesterday was pretty good. We were able to get a set of evening and morning flats. Last night, we weren't able to because of some clouds and fog and high humidity. And like I said, right now there's some thin cirrus kind of like out towards the edges, but right above we have a nice clear patch of sky. So really pushing for those flats this morning.
All right, that sounds good. So I think at this point, I will open up the floor for any questions. So if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can put your questions in the chat. I'll read it out to our panelists and they can answer whatever you want to know.
Don't all jump in at once.
Okay, I've not seen any questions coming in. But how about let's take maybe a couple minutes of break. We are just finishing up flats, Alexis. So we're just finishing up with our flats. We will actually, so flats are the last thing that we do for MegaCam when MegaCam is on in the morning. And in a few minutes, we will actually switch to closing of the dome and closing of the observatory. So we will have interesting things to look on that side. So let's take maybe a couple of minutes, maybe 5-minute break, and then go to looking at closing down of stuff. So we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay, so we got a respectable set of flats this morning. And so now we're just starting the shutdown sequence. Luckily, shutdown is automated, so all I'm doing here is going to our OAP and hitting shutdown. And this will take care of the whole system for me. Right now, the telescope and dome are slewing. The telescope is slewing to our park position. And actually, let me turn on some dome lights so you can see that. So our telescope is slewing to a park position. Our dome is moving so that the slit is facing north. And once it's done slewing, which should take about a minute or two, it will put in the locking pins, it will turn off our servos, turn off the dome drives, turn off our hydraulics. Then we'll close the mirror covers and then the shutter closes. So we'll be able to see that all on our staff serve page now. These are all live stream from our webcams in the observatory dome.
Thanks, Alexis. So we will watch the action as it's happening at the summit.
Go to the mirror covers. So our mirror covers kind of open up like big flower petals and they will close up just like big flower petals. I don't know if you guys can hear it on Zoom, but I do have the dome sound on as well. This is important just so that we can keep an ear open just in case we hear anything that we shouldn't be hearing. So all that squeaking that you might be hearing, that is the dome mirror covers closing right now.
Those are normal sounds.
Those are normal sounds. That's all normal.
Nothing is falling on the mirror.
No, no. Just kind of as an aside, we want to keep the mirror cover, or we want to close the mirror covers before we close the shutter, and you know, conversely, we want to open the shutter before we open the mirror covers. This is just an extra precaution just to make sure you know, nothing can fall on the mirror when we open the shutter. Or like in tonight's case, it was very humid. We had some rain and some snow before sunset. So making sure that there's like no drips or anything that can get on the mirror as well. So shutters, or the mirror covers, are just about closed. And then we will go to the shutter. So because I've done this for a while, I know the shutter takes about 6 minutes to close. So yeah, we can go ahead and watch that on the live feed as well.
Summarize in 1 minute.
Yes. Mhm. Maybe the questions in the chat. Yeah, does anybody have any questions about any of our shutdown procedures, anything like that? I can also talk about what like a normal night of observing looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you've heard from all of our other groups today. They work really hard to make my job very easy. And so in return, I just want to make sure that, you know, I make their jobs easy and also try and get the best science that I can during the night. What a typical night of observing looks like is I will come in at least an hour before sunset. I tend to come in a little bit earlier. And we'll do our pre-observing checks. That's, you know, looking to make sure that all of the machinery in the basement is working well, our compressors, our UPS systems, making sure that nothing is left on the telescope floor accidentally, our solar sail isn't open, things like that. And if we're all good to open for tonight or that night, if weather conditions look good, then I'll go ahead and turn on all our systems, our hydraulics, our dome drives, our servos, you know, open up the shutters, open up the vents if conditions allow. And on a mega cam night like tonight, I would take flats, evening flats if conditions allow. And for mega cam, we get started at about 12-degree twilight. thanks to the resident astronomers like Luke and Viraja, they'll come up with a cue plan for the night. And so if all goes well, I just follow that and don't have to think too hard about it. But that isn't always the case. Obviously, sometimes we'll have some sudden weather happen. Sometimes the seeing will blow up. Sometimes the volcano erupts. So a lot of things can happen during the night, and it's sort of my job to make sure that we're getting the highest priority science possible, and taking observations as efficiently as possible. And then in the morning, we just kind of do the reverse of that. So take flats if that allows for the instrument, and then do our shutdown sequence. For us remote observers, so that includes me and Jessica, and we have 2 other people on our team, Jasmine and Lisa as well. Our kind of shift rotation looks like 5 nights on, and then about 10 to 15 nights off, where we'll have you know, some daytime projects and stuff like that. So we'll come into the office. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alexis. And I really want to appreciate what an incredible job the ROs do, working 12 hours straight during the night all the way through the morning. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Like I said, you all make my job easy, so try to do our best at it as well.
Thank you so much. So the shutter looks almost closed now.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 of the way closed.
Oh, okay.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you had a bit of snow and
Mhm.
moisture at the beginning of the evening. Did that prevent you from opening the dome vents?
Yes, so
Much, right?
that's one of the reasons why I didn't open the dome vents tonight. Temperature was okay. We did have some like kind of threatening clouds coming in from the West Ridge. And so I tend to be a little bit more conservative when using our vents, especially over the weekend, just because you know, we don't have the day crew going up the next day, and so no one can really keep an eye on it. And I go to sleep at some point. So so yeah, one of the reasons why I didn't use the vents tonight, and then also one of the reasons why we didn't open Nana out.
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually talking about opening in optimal conditions, you mentioned about how potential volcanic activity can prevent us from opening up. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you decide whether it's safe to open if there is some volcanic activity?
Yeah, sure. So thanks to the operations team, we have some particle counters installed at the telescope now. This is actually kind of a new addition to some of the things that we look at during the night, and is due to the Mauna Loa eruption. So kind of our sister volcano right across the way. During that eruption, we noticed that the summit of Maunakea, every time that there would be, you know, the flow, the summit operators noticed that there would be like, you could smell sulfur up there. So it meant that there was sulfur up there, and we just needed a way to quantify that. So now we have limits in place. For our particle counters, we look at particles in the 0.3 to 0.5 micron range. And our limits are currently, if there are 20 particles per cubic centimeter with a relative humidity higher than 65%, we do not open. If humidity is lower than 65%, that threshold increases to 30 particles per centimeter cube. And this is because we don't want the sulfur to mix with the water to create sulfuric acid. That would be very, very, very bad for our mirror coating. And that is something that we've had to keep an eye on, especially with the recent volcanic activity happening on Kilauea. So tonight actually looked really good. So Viraja has pulled up our particle count chart. But I believe when Jessica was looking at that previous night report, particle counts were very, very high. So well above our limits. I believe at one point it was like 50 particles per centimeter cube. So that did prevent us from opening that night. And I believe some of the summit operators reported as well that they saw particles on the summit.
Thank you so much. So what is happening right now while there's silence?
So actually, right now, I think we're about done. So let me just double check my list. So our mirror covers are closed, the dome shutter is closed, our locking pins are in, our dome drives are off, our servos are off, and our hydraulics are off. So yeah, all I have to do now is just finish up a little bit left of my shutdown checklist and send out the night report. I usually write most of it during the night just so that when I'm done in the morning, I just have to kind of check it over and send it out. Yep.
So as Alexis said, so we get back to the night report, which will be sent out to everyone. And based on that night report, we'll again start planning for the next night. So thank you so much. With that, we conclude our session. So thank you all for joining in. Thank you to all the panelists for getting over here so early on. Thanks, Cam and Jessica, for joining remotely. And with that, thank you, everyone. And we hope to see everyone in Quebec in a month. Thanks.
Okay.
I'll stop the recording now.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.